First, I want to welcome you to therapy. I know that you've been seeing a doctor who has referred you over to me. You're going to have to answer these questions for Rose. I'm going to ask them to Rose, however, so she can receive the stimulation, but you'll be answering. Do you understand?
Yes. People have said that they've noticed a difference lately, but I've noticed it too because I stay home with her when her husband is away on trips. And she's just doing normal activity, but then all of a sudden she just stops.
Interesting. Now, do you have any family history with disorders, mood, personality, anxiety? Has anyone in your family ever experienced what you've been seeming to be going through?
Yes. Some of her family members have, and my family members have, experienced brain damage during development as a result of the flu influenza that her mother carried, and she had a viral infection. Multiple of her relatives have been diagnosed with schizophrenia as well. Her father was 20 years older than her mother when she was conceived. He was about 62 when Rose was born. However, for others, brain damage results in different things like hearing loss, vision loss, or impairment.
Okay. Now, as far as you know, were you exposed to anything fatal or harmful while in the womb? In other words, was there any malnutrition on the part of your mother?
As her uncle, I raised her, and her mother did not provide her with the right nourishment. She actually didn't know that she was pregnant. She was malnourished.
Describe your life for me. Can you give me a picture of what you do for a living, what your family is like, what you enjoy doing? How is everything? Are you happy with your life circumstances?
Well, Rose is a store manager. She's married and she has 3 children. Her husband is away on business trips a lot, which is why I take care of her, and why he couldn't come to this week's session. He will be here next week, though. Anyway, her family is very nice, and she usually enjoys spending time with them, but lately she's found it difficult to interact with them. Her children are young and don't understand that their mom is ill. So they laugh when she stays in these odd positions, when for her it feels quite normal but alarming at times.
Can you demonstrate?
Yeah, sometimes, like, we ask her to move back down, otherwise she won't move it back down by herself.
Okay. Now, can you give me an overview of a day in the life for you? Please begin from the time you wake up to when you go to sleep. Please be sure to include all these details. That will be helpful.
Well, first she wakes up to her alarm clock, and then she goes to the bathroom and takes a shower, and usually when I or her husband wake up, she's still in the shower, and she's been there quite a while, so that makes her late for work, and as a result of that, she doesn't eat breakfast because she doesn't have time. And then she drives to the store and works from 8 to 6. During that time period, she oversees workers, does inventory, and if one of her employees is sick for the day, she'll do their job. But now she just doesn't do that anymore. And after that, she comes home and she rarely eats dinner, and then she just goes to bed. And again, lately, because of her condition, I've been taking her to work and bringing her home, and I help her make dinner for her husband and her children, since typically she just seems to want to go to bed.
Could you evaluate your life circumstances on a scale from 1 to 10, 10 being a pretty stress-free life?
I would say a 3 because her job is very stressful, and lately because of the economic situation, she's had to lay quite a few people off. And also, she's been supporting the burden of the family. Her husband just had knee surgery, so he's been out of work and he does work in construction. And on top of that, with this recently developing, I guess, mental illness of some kind, he's been having to recover quicker, which isn't good for his knee, and it's just a bad situation to be in. So, a 3.
Okay. Now, I'm going to ask you more about your adolescence, what happened in your past. Was there any sort of trauma during your upbringing? As a child, were you abused in any way? Did you go through any traumas, or was it a pretty carefree childhood?
Well, she expressed that because of her mother's suicide after 6 months. She felt like she wasn't wanted in the world because obviously her mother wasn't there. So she expressed that through cutting herself. But lately she stopped that, but then after she stopped that, this has kind of developed. developed more.
Interesting. And as a child, were you ever prescribed any drugs or by a doctor? If so, can you recall what they were?
As far as I know, there weren't any drugs at all when she was being brought up.
Okay. Now, at this point, I'm going to change gears and ask you more about the current situation, about your feelings, thoughts, and behaviors.